it's a very physical object that you make in tapestry, and if you make it instant like a poster requires to be, you know, you get everything coming hard at you at a split second and you're gone. I think tapestry is the opposite of that. So the device of making it a little bit obscure makes the onlooker hang around the piece a little bit longer because there are other things going on as well. So it doesn't jump out at you, it's a little bit more concealed. The ties alongside, the two pieces, I guess the little caption alongside says what I think about it. I'm just intrigued by the, not simply that the clothes that we all wear, including me, that kind of describe ourselves. We do it consciously or subconsciously, or both. And that's what the two tapestries do. I mean, I used to have a jacket like that one on the left, and I used to wear a woolen tie like that one on the left, and I would wear a dark grey shirt with it. I mean, that could be a bit of me, say 20 years ago in Scotland. And the one on the right could be my brother-in-law, who had aspirations to being a gentleman. And we're politically rather on opposite sides of the fence too. So that's where these come from. But they're much more refined drawing than in the figures here. The dealing with photographic quality. Obviously the texture of the cloth, the suit and the ties and the shirts are quite different. The wording underneath, I don't know, I'm not even still sure about it. Initially, the wording on the one on the right, which was the first one I wove, was actually attached to the touch, so it was one piece. And I detached it. It was a sewing technique that you use when you're weaving to make it one. I knew certainly if I was going to use words, I didn't want them to jump out and be so demanding. It's a bit the same here. To kind of confuse so that it wasn't shouting out at you like a poster does. The words were kind of elusive. Maybe too elusive, I don't know. Maybe they don't need the words. I'm an urban person, really. The fact is that a tapestry weaver, to survive, goes where you're invited and takes it very happily. And I'd be very happy to go to the Arctic Circle, to go to New Guinea, to go to wherever and enjoy these places. But the attraction is not the landscape. That comes. It's what comes under your skin at you sideways that's far richer than anything, the superficial in a way that landscape offers. A couple of years ago, 3 years ago, I was up in Baffin Island in the Arctic Circle and came across a drawing. They weave tapestries there and we were helping them out on a project. And I came across a drawing by one of the old Inuit Inuit women of a little figure in the corner of the drawing, and he just looked like Dersu. So I took some Xeroxes off the drawing. That was they were drawing for tapestry. That was their role. And I did a piece of weaving, the one up here, the little man out of the drawing. And then I did another bit. While I was up there, the landscape was like these white mountains that were scoured with rock and wind. There's very little snow up there, in fact. It doesn't snow. I think about 5 or 6 inches a year of precipitation, but it doesn't melt, so it just blows back and forward and back and forward all the year. And it's incredibly awful situation. And I was making little drawings from the windows, I tell you, out at the raw wild landscape with the sense of the wind, and started weaving from some of the drawings and trying other versions of Dersu. And I soon discovered that there was a narrative starting. So I decided to formalize it and make a kind of allegory of a 7-day story in a simplified form, the journey in the beginning and each day. The 7th day, the fatal fall, is very characteristic of the place there, because behind where we were staying was a mountain, a horrifying mountain, almost vertical, with ice, white, frozen, but black rock, sharp rock. And you could see a little red marks on the rock where it was a doctor who had climbed up the top to take a photograph 2 or 3 years before we were there, and he had fallen, and he didn't hit the bottom. He's still stuck there on the rock, and you could see the remains of his red anorak across the thing. And so it was a very frightening thing. So that became the fatal fall in my head. The ravens are the only living creature that you see very often around the small village, who are very menacing and very ominous, and belong to the mythology of the village. So they crept in there. We have what we call the shoebox, and all the pieces that are not, that I dislike the most, go into the shoebox, right? And belong to the mythology of the village. So they crept in there. We have what we call the shoebox, and all the pieces that are not, that I dislike the most, go into the shoebox, right? It's tucked away somewhere. Sometimes it's a very big shoebox too. I've destroyed a number of pieces. A number of pieces I've started and got 2/3 of the way through and just stopped. But the funny thing about the shoebox thing is that you tend to improve, whereas the ones that are finished and put on exhibition sometimes diminish, in my eyes anyway. And it's kind of nice the way things change just by the way we see them rather than how they physically are the same. History does that to lots of things, I think. Behind here is a few small pieces. Both Susan, partner, and myself do a lot of weaving like this. We draw like this and we weave like this. Just bits of things that tend to end up in an old shoebox and get pulled out again, like the way you glance through a sketchbook. The word thing, the slit, slot, split. I've done these now for 25 years, illustrated words in weaving. And that's only a few of them. Some of them I've done a bit bigger, maybe 20 inches square. They might be, knot or burn, twist. Just the word illustrated in the textile. And these are just some recent ones. The piece on the right where it says patch, again is, if you see the check, the houndstooth check at the bottom is the same as the jacket over in one of the small jacket and tie tapestries. The fact that tapestry in a pictorial sense is about illusion. So here's a patch, pretending a piece of kind of denim patch stitched over the thing there, trying to make it as real looking as if you feel it really is stitched on. And then the more stylized orange patch with a stylized sewing in the center of that. And then a kind of mattress sticking where the fabric becomes actually real and separates from the tapestry. So it's really just like a little worksheet, a little sketchbook. And anyone involved in weaving, you'll find you have to do these. It's great to do them too, because you learn a lot. You can make mistakes and learn. The three figures above are actually, there's 4 of them. There's another one somewhere that was the first one. And they were just on top of another bit of warp, like the corner of a page, trying to redraw within the limits of tapestry weaving, where you alter everything minutely, pushing the level of the eyes around. If you see the upright of the profile side of the face, you'll see from close up that it's distorted to make a cheekbone, a jawbone. Likewise, the nose line. There's a lot of weaving in there that goes right back to weaving of 1,500 years ago from Egypt, Coptic weaving, trying to learn from that. It's a strange irony that to survive as a tapestry weaver is not easy, right? I've had lives where I've been teaching university level in art schools and the like, Well, you're quite comfortably off, and you subsidise your tapestry work by that. But today it's not easy to make a living as a tapestry weaver. And I wouldn't mind a life where I could get up and work knowing that next month and next year is looked after, that the hospital bills, if they ever come along, or the dental bills, or the new tyres on the car, very mundane things. So that would be nice, but it's a choice I've made, and I don't regret it, you know. Anyone who's contemplating such a career should forget it. It's not something you choose to do, it's something that you must do. You know, you end up needing to do it. You might even try and give it up, but you can't. It's not a place for a career. It's more like an illness, like an allergy that you have to deal with in life, rather than a dessert that you have at the end of a meal. You know, I'm lucky. I'm one of the more successful ones, right? I'm worried about a new tire. Most tapestry weavers are hoping one day to have a car. As a young boy in Scotland, in Edinburgh, in the very early 30s, it was a really depressing time, economic depression in Britain. And I was from a very ordinary working class family, so there was no money at all to spread around. Surviving for most people then was very difficult. And yet my mother always had one corner of her home that was her little shrine. There was a table my father had made, a kind of chinoiserie thing, as a carpenter, an evening class. There was a little lace cover that hung on the table, and there was a plant on top, and a red paper mache Japanese container thing. And each day she tended that, and the lace was always fresh, the little carpet underneath, the rug underneath. And it kind of, I remember clearly as a boy, she was not meaning to, but actually saying to each one of us, I had 5 brothers, that you know, life is hard, we've got to survive, but there are things that are worth doing each day that have nothing to do with the basics of living. And I guess she kind of taught me that each day as an infant. Anyway, I've actually woven my recollection of that table as one of this series, and that's probably what its origins are, just at a window, a table at a window. Our life is mostly tapestry weaving, right? We get up and talk about that, we argue about it, we discuss it, we seek it out. So I just am an addictive person to activities. I'm frightened to get involved in things these days. Even in people, it's hard to think of places like Bosnia, Somalia. I remember that happening very clearly, feeling a guilt in my 30s about Biafra and saying, I'm doing nothing about this. And realizing that the thing I can do quite well and do with a lot of experience and knowledge now is work in tapestry, and that's the best thing I can do.